Yo, this is part 4 to Trillionaire. So, in my other video, I'm pretty sure it's Trillionaire part 2, I talk about instead of having school use you, right? So, this is the paradigm shift, right? Rather than having school use an individual, right? Because school is the slowest vector of money, right? Think about it. You need to pay to get a degree with money you don't have. And then with that quote unquote knowledge you got from paying for a degree with money you don't have, you're in debt, and then you go and have a low paying job to hopefully pay off the debt you're in. But wasn't the point of the degree so that you can not be in that slave trade, right? And so I'm not sure who made up the quote, but like saying slavery is a choice, that's a bit iffy in the history of it. But nowadays in America, the land of the free is BS anymore. It's not the land of the free anymore. And when I say land of the free, I don't necessarily mean flying to different places. What I mean is spiritually free, financially free. No one is financially, barely anyone is financially free in the US. Spiritually free, mentality free, right? Are you free from your mind? Things like that. And so, in terms of freedom and discipline, there is freedom in saying no, there is freedom in discipline, right? And also, on top of that, why I want to continue my tangent about instead of having school use you, because think about it, the professors, the government, the system in place, the superintendents, pretty much all they want is what's in your pocket, right? Which is the green stuff in the trees that are printed. And so, with that being said, when I say don't let school use you, it's to have the huge mindset of to understand every possible class, every possible homework assignment is to do the inverse. So instead of, oh, having school use you for your money, the mindset is to use school. Every possible knowledge that school is giving me, I'm gonna take that shit and I'm gonna skyrocket it to be a trillionaire, right? And here's the thing that I mentioned is what's interesting for me is how I understand school and how I understood the system is I had to use alternative education and my entrepreneurial knowledge to understand it. I went to school to learn about business, but I used business to understand school. What is that? Didn't I go to school to learn about business? Instead, I ended up going to use my business knowledge to understand school. I had to use my alternative education. I had to use my alternative education entrepreneurship knowledge. All right, I had to use my alternative education entrepreneurship knowledge to understand the system of school. And then I go to school to learn about business and marketing. Yeah, but not really. And here's why. There's a difference of applied knowledge and just having the knowledge. School is, that's what I say, instead of using school, instead of having school use you. This is example number one of having school use you is you have all this knowledge, but you're still in the rat race. So school is using you for your money in your pocket if afterwards all that knowledge you just let it sit in your head versus applied knowledge, then using school, right? So example one, instead of having school use you where you're just going there and then they're taking money from you and all the knowledge going into your brain, you don't use any of it, and in your job you don't even use any of the knowledge you learned from college, versus using school where every possible thing you can take, scholarships, advantage, take advantage of not having to pay for school, all that stuff. Then on top of it is to redefine education. I said this in part 2. Redefining education as in failure, redefining education as in losing, redefining education as in defeat, right? If you guys realize a lot of the top level NBA players like Kobe Bryant, he lost a lot. Michael Jordan, he lost a lot. And what people don't realize, they don't count the losses, which doesn't make sense. The losses are where it counts. The losses is the most growth. The losses is the most learning. And that's the most beautiful thing, right? The losses is the most blossoming, the most growth for an individual. The most blossoming for an individual. And why I want to say like using school is because for some reason there's a fear around getting F's, there's a fear around getting D's, there's a fear around getting C's, and even below B's. I don't understand it. What it is fail on purpose. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Because when you fail on purpose, you become bulletproof. You become invulnerable. When the rest of the world's telling you not to fail, go ahead and fail. Because you will learn way more by failing than by succeeding. It's even interesting, right? When you succeed at school, you don't learn a lot. When you fail at school, oh, you learn a lot. And let me explain further. When you fail at school, it's not in the sense that, oh, physics, chemistry, math, science, English arts, language arts. Those are important subjects to get educated on. However, straight A students are only good at doing that kind of work. Straight A students are only good at doing that kind of homework. However, C students, D students, F students, there's two different pathways. An F student, right, could be a family person, could have kids already in high school, could be, working for their family, could already having their own thing. Maybe they want to drop out of high school already, you know. The other option is an D and F student, and they have no idea what they're doing. Now here's the difference, right? Let's say you have a straight A student, but they have no idea what they're doing. The school is using them because you're just feeding into the knowledge, feeding into the system. Versus this person that isn't even trying in school but has a D and an F, what's going to end up happening is in the future they're going to have to work way harder. They're going to have way more hardships. However, within the span of 10 to 20 years, who's going to be bricked up? Who's going to be, having a stronger character? That kid that had D's and F's and failed high school. And so, in terms of education and character building, school is supposed to create robots. School is supposed to create, I hate this word, but slaves, I don't like that word, but think about jobs and think about the repetition of it. It's just labor. It's just slave labor. I don't like that word because it's like a super historical, traumatizing word, and like I said, I'm Khmer, and my parents survived the killing fields of the Khmer Rouge. They had to do labor like that. They had to do labor similar to, concentration camps. They had to do labor similar to slaves, and that word is very stingy. It's like the most brutally hurtful, honest word. It's the most brutally honest word. Yeah, that's the only way I can explain it. It's the most brutally honest word. In terms of nowadays in this system, if you're working for a boss and a CEO that doesn't care about you, just quit. The CEO, he can literally just find someone else, or he can at this point build automation to replace your job, right? It's like data entry, data analysis. I feel bad for you guys because all your jobs are gonna get replaced, by automation. Even for my business, I don't even need a data analyst. I don't even need a data entry, or I just use automation. So my apologies to those of you that have degrees and specialties in data analytics and data entry, because I just use automation for those things. So again, example number one was having school use you. All right. Now, example number two is using school. And this is what I'll explain. Let's say you get scholarships, right? You just stole money from the colleges. That's what scholarships are. Scholarships are taking essays. Scholarships are showing the colleges who you are, and you jack money from the colleges. And what ends up happening is the students that don't get scholarships and then go and pay this debt and go do all these different loans. You see how they're not using school? Using school looks like this, okay? You go and get a degree for the marketing or for the interest you want. If your interest is dancing, if your interest is video games, if your interest is music, right? Is to go and use school to get better at those things. Versus school using you is, oh, I want to go to Yale for letters so I can get my dick sucked. That's the difference, right? Oh, I want to go to, what is it called? Yale, Harvard, an Ivy League school just to get letters, just to go to a fraternity. Oh, I want to go to a big university, to a frat, to a sorority, so I can get letters for status, so I can get my dick sucked, so I can, get my pussy eaten out, all this different stuff. And for me, it's like the subconscious way that humans think now, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you go to a college just for the outside verification, just for the outside gratification of external forces, That's not fulfilling. And so, how what you'll see to things to develop when I say slave, I don't necessarily mean as in labor, as in, oh, you're working from 9 to 5 every single day. I also mean spiritual and mental slave. Spiritual, as in to yourself. You don't actually want to go to these 4 year degree colleges and slave over school, homework, and just do all this hard work for no reason to then be in debt and have to pay loans afterwards. Also, you're spiritually, because you're holding yourself back and not living yourself free, not living life with liberty, right? Not living life and understanding reality. When I say liberty, isn't the US priding itself on liberty? Now no one is liberated. Everyone is trapped in their own minds, right? And so, why I want to redefine education, why this trillionaire dollars, why this trillionaire series is important, and there's 4 parts right now. I don't know if I'll make more parts. I think I'm gonna leave it at 4 parts. It's in terms of this trillionaire journey and this self-improvement journey, not just for me to rewatch, but for all the viewers and the YouTube and the platform, right? If I reform this into TikTok, if I reform this into a podcast on Spotify, if I reform this into Instagram Reels, if I reform this, right, into many different platforms, but those are my main ones, right? If I reform this onto Zapier, ActiveCampaign, Close.io, ClickFunnels, if I reform this into OnlyFans, FanHouse, Patreon, right? A lot of these paid wall apps, these paid wall softwares, then I can distribute this knowledge to a lot of people at scale because it's important for everyone to understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is trillionaire, the journey to trillionaire, it's not about the materialistic success. What it is a self-improvement journey. What that means is at the rate and at the capacity of an individual's self-improvement. So whoever you are on the inside, outside, everything else in between. If you work out a lot, it's going to affect your brain. Right? Get abs first and then tell me if you're depressed. Literally, get abs first and then tell me if you're depressed. I've been working out. My abs are popping. My depression is like literally subsided, right? Let's say you're, what was I going to say? So for $1 trillion, like, it's a self-improvement journey, right? And in terms of the capacity of work, the capacity of task, the capacity of rigor, the capacity of tenacity is equated to the amount of revenue and profit and income that one has in their bank account. So with the tenacity of a trillionaire, it's 24/7. I literally cannot turn it off at this point. My RAS is always firing at all gears. Yeah, that's my RAS is literally firing all the time. My subconscious is always on fire. So in terms of the $1 trillion journey, this self-improvement journey, the only person I'm battling is myself, right? And when we get to that point, there's no one that can beat you. There's really no one that can ever beat me anymore because I can't even beat myself. So when you get to that point where your expectations of yourself, my expectations of myself are so high, the things that I want in life, I will demand at any capacity. The aspirations that I want to achieve, I will demand at any capacity. And even after that, I still won't be satisfied because of how difficult I make things for myself, because of how hard I am on myself. Even after all the materialistic success, I still won't be satisfied. And here's why. It's because $1 trillion, like I said, is a self-improvement journey, right? And how to automation. The reason why I can never be satisfied is because I'm human. Humans consistently look for problems. Humans are only driven by fear. If that's the case, then the individuals with the most fear, the individuals with the most problem looking and then sees the biggest problems are the most materialistic successful, are the most spiritual successful, are the most mentality successful, because as we look at bigger problems, what we realize is the small problems don't matter. There's huge problems like hunger, cancer, substance abuse, kids getting kidnapped, oh my god, shit like that. So those huge problems, right, then school becomes a small problem. Huge fear that the planet might implode, right, and just blow up. Huge fear creates huge action. Like, look at Elon Musk, he's trying to get to a different planet. Multiplanetary, multiple planets, right? So everyone, my name's SLC, and this video definitely helps.